Okay, welcome to the Math Decimal Song tutorial. This is your lesson on how to create a song that shows other students how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide using decimals. And of course you can have one big question that ranges from decimal 001 to 10,000. And I'm going to show you examples of these later, but we're going to start with addition. So how to properly add using decimals. So in this situation, we're going to start with this question right here. And the first thing we do is we have to make sure that our place values are all lined up. And you can see that on the smartboard they're a little bit off. All we're going to do is add these numbers up, and then we're going to worry about the decimal after. So we're going to do the 4 plus 6, which equals 10. Put the 0 down there. Carry the 1 up there. And then 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 6 plus 2 equals 8. 4 plus 5 equals 9. 3 plus 3 equals 6. And 5 plus 2 equals 7. Then you find where the decimal was, and as you can see it's right there. You place it right underneath in the same area that it was located before. And that's your first question on how to add using decimals. It's quite simple. Find the decimal and then lower it to where it falls within the answer as well. So let's go on to the second example. It starts here, and you start with 4 plus 2, and that equals 6. 3 plus 9 equals 12. So you put the 2 down and you carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus another 1 is 11. Put the 1 down, carry the 1 up above in the other place value. 8 plus 1 is 9, plus another 1 is 10. So the 0 goes down here, and the 1 goes up there. 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So you put the 9 down there, and 6 plus 2 is 8. You go back into the question, and you find where the decimal places are. And you move that decimal place down into the answer, and you have an answer of 8,901 decimal 26. Let's move on to multiplication. We're going to start with this multiplication question right here, because it's a little bit easier because we're working with decimal 001. Now when you multiply, you start with the farthest number and you multiply up and then across, until you've exhausted, the 1 is multiplied with all the numbers above. So we'll start with that. So 1 times 5 equals 5. You put the answer down underneath. 1 times 4 equals 4. You put the 4 down there. 1 times 3 equals 3. You put the 3 down there. 1 times 2 equals 2. And 1 times 1 equals 1. Now, because we're moving a place value, you need to put a 0 underneath the 5. And I call those the magic 0. Then we start with this 0 here. And we have to multiply all the numbers just like we did with the 1. So 0 times 5 is 0, 0 times 4 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, and 0 times 1 is 0. Now because I've moved to this place value, I'm going to put a couple zeros in here and do the same thing with this 0. 0 times 5 is 0, 0 times 4 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, and 0 times 1 is 0. That's all the numbers I've exhausted on this question. So I multiplied the 1, I multiplied this 0, I multiplied this 0 by all these numbers, and I've come up with this answer. Now I'm going to add all these numbers because in multiplication you add. So 5 plus 0 is 5, 4 plus 0 is 4, 3 plus 0 is 0, 2 plus 0 and 0, 1, and then you have 0 and 0. Now, the way to figure out the amount of decimals to use in your answer is you count the numbers that are located on the right-hand side of the decimal place in the question. There are none up here. This is a comma, so it's not a decimal place. But there are 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So I start here and I count in 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 12.345. The next multiplication question I'm doing is this one here. We start with the 3, and you do the 2, the 1, the 4, the 6, and the 3, and the 1. And then you move on to the 2, and we'll start off with the 3 in this situation. So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 4 is 12. Put the 2 down there and carry the 1 up there. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Put the 9 down here, carry the 1 up there. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Put the 0 down there, put the 1 up there. 3 times 1 is 3, plus the 1 is 4. Now because I've moved place values, I have to put the magic 0 down there. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7, and 2 times 1 is 2. Put all these numbers there, and because it's multiplication, I add 6 plus 0 is 6, 3 plus 4 is 7, 2 plus 2 is 4. 9 plus 8 is 17, so I carry that 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, 4 plus 7 is 11, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, how many numbers are located in behind the decimals in both of these numbers? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I start here and I count in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my answer is 313.7476. And that's how to multiply. Moving on. We're going to do some division. And I'm going to put the questions in here. The first question I'm going to use is 6. And how many times does 6 go into 40.26? So we start with how many times does 6 go into 4? And 6 can't go into 4, so I put a 0 there. But how many times does 6 go into 40? Well, I know that 6 times 6 equals 36. So it goes in 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36, so I put the number underneath the 40. I subtract these two numbers now. So what's 40 subtract 36? And you'll find that that's a 4. Now, I have to bring down my 2 to complete this question. And then I ask myself, how many times does 6 go into 42? Well, 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 equals 42. So I know 6 times 7 equals 42. I put the 7 up here. 7 times 6 equals 42. 42 subtract 42 equals 0. Then I have to bring down this 6 to complete the question. How many times does 6 go into 6? Well, we know it goes in 1 time. And 1 times 6 equals 6. And we have a remainder of 0. And the last question we're going to do is a little more complicated. It's 10 goes into 204.80. So how many times does 10 go into 2? Well, it can't go in anywhere. So how many times does 10 go into 20? Well, we know that 10 times 2 equals 20. So 2 times 10 equals 20. 20 subtract 20 equals 0. I'm going to bring down this 4. How many times does 10 go into 4? Well, it doesn't go in any time, so we'll put a 0 up there. And we're going to bring down the next number, which happens to be an 8. Well, how many times does 10 go into 48? We know that 10 times 4 equals 40. And that's the closest we can get to 48 without going over that number. So I'm going to put the 4 up here. 4 times 10 equals 40. I subtract those two numbers, make that an 8. I'm going to bring down that 0 to finish off this question. How many times does 10 go into 80? Well, we know that 10 times 8 equals 80. So we'll put the 8 up here. 8 times 10 equals 80. And 80 subtract 80 equals 0. You have a remainder of 0. And that is how you add, subtract, multiply, and divide using decimals.